gosh. Good morning. Oh my gosh. So, I decided today to do a little, morning venting while getting ready for the morning. I mean, I don't start work until like 4:35. So, I have plenty of time to get ready, but it's the morning and my parents aren't home, so I just feel like venting. But anywho, so what I wanted to talk about with you guys are just some things that I have learned so far in my 20s. So I wanted to talk to you guys about just what I've learned so far as a 20-year-old, as a 23-year-old. I just wanted to talk about just young adulthood and what comes with it, and like just everything that I've learned so far. So, let's get this done. I'm using the Lorraine Posay Hydrating Gentle Cleanser. This is what I use to wash my face. So, so one thing I learned about in my 20s is that you really have to fight for your joy and for your happiness. Like, I feel like as kids, you're just so oblivious to like what's out there and like what's in the real world and stuff like that. And I feel like when you get older, it's like you can't rely on like your parents or like other people to make you happy, because like that's not their responsibility. Like, it's not their responsibility to make you happy and to like find joy, you know? Another thing too that I realized, that as a young adult, like, okay, so I never really had a real job. When I was in college, like, I never had a job in high school. Like, I wasn't one of those kids that had a job in high school. When I was in college, I didn't work while I was in school. I only worked in between like holidays. So I would work during like winter break, Christmas break, during the summer. But other than that, like, I never worked. So I feel like because I never worked, I never had those experiences. Like, it didn't give me those real life experience. So I feel like in a way I kind of walked into adulthood a little bit like naive and just a little bit like not knowing too much, which is fine because I feel like we all have to start somewhere. But I definitely do feel like, to help me transition from a teenager to a young adult, I definitely do feel like having more responsibilities as far as like a job would definitely help, become, the young woman that I am today. Another thing that I learned so far in my 20s is that, like, you gotta stand up for yourself. Like when you're a kid, it's easy for adults to look at you and see you as like vulnerable, or see you as like, oh, she can't defend herself, so let me defend yourself. But like, for some reason, as soon as you turn 18, it's like you may not really get that support. And I'm not saying that you don't get that from like your family and friends. I'm just saying, like, just in general, because it's like you're old enough to know better, but even if you're still a little naive and you still don't know like what the heck you're doing, like, that expectation is still there. Like, you still need to know what you're doing, and I definitely do feel like, for someone like me who is learning how to be an adult, that kind of pressure can be kind of hard. You know, it's like I never really had to work a full-time job. Like I never really had to really work. It was just something that like I did to make a little bit of money just to get some experience. But like I didn't know. I'm using the Fenty Skin Cookies and Clean. Let me tell you something about this mask. This face mask is the bomb. Like this face mask is the bomb. Like you want clean, clear skin, this face mask is for you. But anywho, I forgot what I was talking about. I need to when I make these kind of videos, I need to have like a notebook and pen and write down questions that I want to answer, because like I'm getting like sidetracked. I'm getting sidetracked and like I don't know like what the hell I'm talking about. I might just do my mask in the camera because I could see, kind of. I feel like one thing that I also learned in my 20s is that you gotta grow up. Like, there have been situations that I've been in that I felt like that could have been solved if I just grew up a little. You know, I feel like that's what like you have to do in your 20s, in your early 20s, or like transitioning from like a teenager to an adult, is to grow up. That's the magic word. I feel like when you grow up, you become more self-aware, you become more responsible, you hold yourself more accountable. And I feel like for the past, I would say 5 years, but honestly, I feel like ever since I dropped out of college, I feel like I've become more self-aware and like more responsible. Like, yeah, I make mistakes because like who don't? And also I'm young, like I'm still learning how to be like an adult, like a functioning adult in this society. But like you really gotta grow up, you know? Like, yeah, so you know, like you just have to grow up and just hold yourself accountable and be responsible. And I think that falls into what I said before about like also like standing up for yourself, because like at some point people are gonna look at you and be like, you're an adult, like why aren't you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Like, you know, like why aren't you responsible? Like, don't you want a job? Like, don't you want to keep your job? But yeah, but being like growing up, having to grow up, that's like a part of your 20s. That's a part of just growing as an individual. Like for me, my growth was a little bit slow just because like, you know, I was just a kid that like had a lot of privileges. So like I didn't really have to like do a lot of things. You know, like I've experienced some turmoil, but like it wasn't like life changing, you know? It was just like an inconvenience, but it wasn't, oh my gosh, like we're homeless now type of shit. Like I ain't never been through that, but I just feel like I'm getting distracted. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. But I feel like because I grew up with like privileges, more privileges than like other people that I know and grew up with too, you know, I definitely do feel like that kind of hindered my growth. You know, I mean, everybody's growth journey is different, but I feel like for me, it took a little longer. It took me going through college to grow up. Like that's the best way I can explain whatever I'm trying to explain. But like college made me grow up. Like it definitely put the pedal to the metal and just grow up. The one thing that I can say that like helped with my growth from transitioning from, you know, like a teenager to a young adult is being self-aware. I feel like being self-aware it's just so important to self-grow. I feel like once you're self-aware, it's easier to hold yourself accountable. It's easy to be responsible, right? It's easy to call out your own bullshit because you know, like, yo, like, I shouldn't be doing that. Like, yo, like, you can do so much better. And I just feel like being self-aware plays a huge part, like a big part in growth and development and just going from a teenager to an adult. Another thing besides self-awareness, I mean, this kind of falls into self-awareness, is also like pointing out your flaws. Like, I feel like it's hard to be like, oh my God, like, you know, like the reason why A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P is happening to me is because, you know, of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't point the finger at everybody else. You gotta point the finger at yourself. Like, why do I keep repeating this cycle? Like, why do I keep talking to, you know, the same kind of guys? Oh, I'm insecure. Oh, I don't have a backbone. Oh, I don't know how to say no. And I feel like once you point out your flaws and you acknowledge them and you find ways to do better, like, that helps, you know? Like, that really helps. Cause I feel like sometimes, like, as kids, not me, but I feel like sometimes, like, as kids, like, I don't know, like, some of us just weren't taught to be, you know. Oh my God, I'm like, I can't have these conversations because I'm like in and out. I get on a topic and I start rambling and then I forget what I'm talking about. So I was talking about self-awareness and I was talking about, oh, pointing out your flaws. Yeah. I was talking about pointing out your flaws. Yeah, you gotta point out your flaws so that you can do better, you know. What else did I learn in my 20s? Hold up. This mask is good. This mask is real good. What else did I learn in my 20s? I mean, I'm like I said, I'm only 23. I'm only 23 and I'm still learning. Oh, okay. So the one thing that I also learned in my early 20s is being financially literate. Is that the word? Is being financially smart. Like, I feel like when you're young and guys just like a little jobby job, a little side hustle, like, you don't understand the importance of like saving and budgeting until like you have your own bills and your own wants and desires and you have to pay for it yourself. That's one thing I can honestly say about like being in my 20s is that like even now, like, I'm learning how to budget. I'm learning how to save. Like, growing up, like, I never really had to worry about like money. Like, I've never, like, money was something that like I didn't necessarily had to worry about because like my parents, you know, they had pretty good job. My mom was a police sergeant. My dad had 2 jobs. So like financially, like, I don't know, because you know parents don't talk about that kind of stuff, but outside looking in, we didn't have any issues. Outside looking in, to me, we didn't have any issues. Money was never an issue. If I wanted something, I got it. If I wanted my hair done, I got it. If I wanted new shoes, I got it. Clothes, don't even get me started with makeup. Makeup, I got it. Like, it was never an issue. But growing up and having to spend your own money and having to budget while spending your money, learning how to like differentiate between a want and a need, like, those things, like, it's crazy. Like, it's just crazy how you really have to learn how to do that. And unfortunately, for a lot of us who are in our 20s, for a lot of us who are in our teenage years transitioning to our young adult years, we're not taught that. Like, we're not taught, like, we're not, like, our parents don't sit us down and say, okay, this is what expenses are. This is what bills are. This is what a necessity is. This is what a luxury is. This is what a sinking fund. This is what a savings. Like, nobody sat down with us and taught us that. So it's like now it's like we're here, ready to conquer, and not know a damn thing about anything. Like, some of us don't even really understand what it means to have a credit score and the importance of having a credit score. And a lot of young people probably don't even understand that either. Like, I know I didn't, but I definitely do feel like learning ways to benefit you financially and learning how to save money is just so important, because when you become a young adult and you start working a job, you gotta pay taxes. Okay? If you got a car note, car insurance, car maintenance, if you want to get new rims, if you want to get new a car wrap, that costs money, and you need to know how to budget all those things. Like, I'm telling you, like, being a young adult, like, it's kind of hard because it's like you're just learning all these things now. You're just learning all these things now. But it's good because how else do you get experience? Like, how else do you transform into a teenager to a young adult to an adult who is financially literate, somebody who knows how to budget. Like, you're not gonna be a millionaire anytime soon, but like, in this expensive ass society, girl, you better know how to budget. That's one thing that's definitely, I feel like being self-aware, fighting for your happiness, and being financially like literate is definitely a big one when it comes to like your early 20s. Like, finances is like top 3 and ain't even 3, because that's something that I feel like a lot of us struggle with. Like, I feel like financially, like, I've gotten so much better. Like, in 2021, I don't even want to explain. I don't even want to go into depth about how much money I spent on Uber Eats. I don't even want to have that conversation, because the money that I spent on Uber Eats is insane. Like, literally in 2022, I was like, I'm going to do better. I called the BS out and I was like, I'm gonna do better. Cause there's just no way in hell I'm going into the new year doing that same crap. And I didn't. Like, I saw the problem, I acknowledged it, and I was like, okay, here's what we're gonna do differently. Okay? Here's what we're gonna do differently. And I did. And half my money don't go to Uber Eats. I get Uber Eats. I order Uber Eats once a week, maybe 2 times a week if I'm on my period. But other than that, like, I don't order. Oh my God, like 2021, I used to order Uber Eats like it was nothing. Like, I used to, mind you, I worked at Home Depot and I was getting paid like 1 something, 2 something a week. And on top of that, I was taking Uber to and from work. Like, and my account used to always be in negatives. Like, it was just terrible. 2022, I was like, we gonna do something different. We gonna be real different. Real different. In 2023, I damn sure do not order on Uber Eats like that. I don't order on Uber Eats like that. Like I said, like, it's once a week, and it's usually like when I get paid, But my dad cooks. I have home cooked meals at home. We got food in the house. Okay? I know exactly what my parents were saying when they said we got food in the house. Everybody's journey is different as a 20-year-old. I mean, if you're 20 and you got some life experiences that you want to share, just let me know. I'm sorry if this video is like all over the place, because I like to talk, but then I also like derail from the topic. So don't mind me. I think, like I said before, I think next video I'll be more prepared. Like I'll have like questions in front of me, you know, because right now I'm just free balling. Like it's the morning, I'm feeling good. I got a Fenty mask on. Like you can't tell me nothing. You can't tell me absolutely nothing because I feel great. Like I feel great. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And also let me know, what did you learn in your early 20s? Like what did you learn going from a teenager to a young adult? Like what was something that helped you transition into young adulthood? What's like the one thing that helped you transition into adulthood? It can be to grow up, you know, to say I'm sorry, take accountability, take responsibility for your actions. It could be finances, you know, like I said. You know, it could just be you only live once. You know, it could just be anything. But you know, comment down below what was one thing that helped you transition from a teenager to a young adult, and I'll see y'all next time. I'll see you hoes next time. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. But I'll see y'all next time.